What does this entire ecosystem, People's Reserve specifically, but I think more generally around Bitcoin, look like in 10 years if you're able to build everything you want and it's all successful and all adopted and Bitcoin continues on the trajectory that we believe it will?
Yeah. People's Reserve will be a central bank of the internet economy. That is what I'm building towards. So when we look at the yield curve, the very front end of the yield curve is called the federal funds rate. This is an overnight banking rate. But when you come into the internet economy and you try to say, what's going to be that rate? What is going to be the equivalent of the federal funds rate in the true free market yield curve? Yeah, we have the middle of the curve with Bitcoin powered mortgages and Bitcoin bonds. We have the long end of the curve with the longer end bonds. So what formulates the front end of the curve? The interbank lending rate between companies like People's Reserve and MicroStrategy, who have become the central banks of the internet economy. So the rate that we lend to each other will actually be the equivalent rate of today's federal funds rate in the internet economy. So when we do our reverse merger and we get access to US capital markets and we're becoming a Bitcoin treasury company that stacks Bitcoin, but then sources liquidity from US capital markets and DeFi, and then empowers the People's Reserve ecosystem or the People's Reserve Fund, which is then the funds that are lent out to the risk-free borrowers, establishing the risk-free rate in the marketplace. That is the long term of what's happening here. A true free market internet economy where no one country can control or outcompete because it's an aggregate, where no one country can state or anchor a rate because rates are discovered through true free market price discovery of supply of the money, demand for loans, and perception of counterparty risk. And for People's Reserve, our long-term goal is to be a Bitcoin treasury company that pays dividends. Because I'm very happy with MicroStrategy. I am not going to sell my MicroStrategy. It's already in trust for the great grandkid, because I believe Michael Saylor will make MicroStrategy into a central bank of the internet economy. Well, People's Reserve will become a central bank of the internet economy. But when we have publicly traded equity, it's important to me that that equity pays a dividend. So all of the fees and revenues that are generated within our ecosystem, all of that funnels back up to our main umbrella corporation, People's Reserve Inc. Because People's Reserve Inc. is our umbrella corp. We have many subsidiaries to offer our products and services, but all the fees and revenues generated by those subsidiaries filter back up to People's Reserve Inc. and then get distributed as a dividend. So when you hold People's Reserve equity in the long run, when you hold People's Reserve equity, it's not just about a long-term bet on a future central bank of the internet economy. It's also about dividend cash flow. And my mission is to create a Bitcoin treasury company that pays absolutely ridiculous dividend cash flows, because I hold my Bitcoin for the long term. I hold my Bitcoin for the extremely, extremely long term. In the short term, I want exposure to the long-term central bank of the internet economy, but I want cash flow dividends. And I think my mission is to create the first Bitcoin treasury company that actually has a positive ecosystem built in its infrastructure, creating those revenues and fees that is financial engineering for the everyday person, and then pulling those fees back into the Bitcoin treasury company structure and distributing them as dividends. I don't believe in companies that sit on hundreds of billions of dollars of cash. Why do you own a company? You own a company to make money with it. So if the company's making money, they should be maximizing their dividend distributions so that you can make money with them. And with this mindset, I want to completely rewrite and rewire the thought process of a publicly traded company and how it distributes dividends. And I think with the People's Reserve ecosystem tied into decentralized finance and People's Reserve Inc. tied into US capital markets, we can pull both of those markets together and create a product that the world's never seen before.
Every time I talk to you, it just strikes me how you've thought of everything. I'm sure you haven't, but like you have so many layers of products that are coming and ideas based on the core ideas that it's just absolutely incredible, man.
Thank you. Well, that's Bitcoin for you, right? You get to the bottom of the rabbit hole and you realize, wait a second, there's a trap door here. It goes deeper. And that's how it's been for People's Reserve. We are Bitcoin maxis building for Bitcoin maxis. And when you leverage Bitcoin in your ecosystem, the potential is infinite. So one of the hardest things for us to do is just concentrate and launch our products and get it done. But when people start to see our roadmap, their jaw is going to drop to the floor, because we're not just talking about Bitcoin powered finance. We're talking about Bitcoin powered life. we're talking about Bitcoin powered everything, because Bitcoin is the layer zero money, and money is 50% of every transaction. So Bitcoin powered transactions is Bitcoin powering 50% of everything. And that's the future we're building for.